Okay, so let's unpack this. Because for about 4,000 years, humanity has basically been running on the exact same operating system.
Yeah, a completely linear model.
Right, linear. It's based entirely on scarcity and competition, where you essentially trade your autonomy to some central authority just to survive. But today we're doing a deep dive into the Diamond A-Spire framework, specifically Book 2, Chapter 6.
A way forward.
Yes, the way forward. It is essentially a blueprint for ditching that ancient survival mechanism and moving toward cyclical mutual aid.
And that shift, from linear to cyclical, that's really the core mechanical change here. I mean, think about a linear system. It just extracts resources, consumes them, and then spits out waste until it just runs out of fuel.
And just dies.
Exactly. But the A-Spire portion of this framework represents an upward spiral. So it's a cyclical system where your energy, your wealth, and your resources, they constantly feed back into the community.
Sustaining it instead of draining it. Which, that sounds like a lovely utopian ideal, right? But practically speaking, how does a society actually function without a central authority calling the shots?
Right. People assume it just devolves into chaos.
Exactly. If you don't have a massive government or, some huge corporation managing the supply chain, isn't it destined for a total breakdown?
Well, not if you look at how natural systems scale. And what's fascinating here is how the framework uses the individuals as the base unit. It calls you the diamond.
The diamond. I love that.
Yeah, so you are this multifaceted, completely unique node. But a diamond doesn't just sit in isolation, right? When individuals form a central production hub, they create a localized ecosystem.
Okay, well, what kind of hub are we talking about here?
Could be a community farm like a kibbutz or a moshav, or it could be an integrated mining operation, or even, a digital decentralized autonomous organization like BIM Heroes.
Oh, okay, so the hub is the anchor. You establish this core economic engine, whether it's agriculture or digital infrastructure, and that naturally pulls in secondary services.
Precisely. Because you need healthcare for the workers, schools for their kids, banking, legal support.
So it builds outward organically around a real purpose.
Yeah, instead of being planned top-down by some bureaucrat. And that cluster, that hub and its supporting services, becomes what the text calls a constellation.
A constellation.
Right. It's a localized system of mutual aid that handles complex needs. Things the framework calls ARC principles, which covers environmental stewardship, localized energy, child-centered families, all of that.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because how do thousands of these isolated constellations interact without a global boss? The source text brings up this incredible analogy of a murmuration of starlings.
Oh, that is such a powerful image.
Right. Those massive flocks of thousands of birds swooping through the sky at like 60 kilometers an hour.
And they never crash into each other.
Never. And there is no kingbird at the front giving orders.
No, there isn't. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the mechanics of that murmuration are exactly how the constellation model scales. A starling isn't looking at the whole flock.
It's just tracking its closest neighbors, right?
Exactly. Its 7 closest neighbors. It adjusts its speed and direction based purely on immediate local data.
So, translated to human society, if your local constellation, say your community farm or your DAO, is just interacting healthfully with the neighboring communities, the entire global structure naturally aligns.
Yeah, you simply don't need a central planner. Localized mutual awareness inherently creates macro-level order.
That is wild.
And that local awareness is the engine of the entire framework. Our current system relies on treating everyone as identical, interchangeable cogs in a massive machine.
Which we aren't.
Exactly. The constellation model only works because the individual diamonds are unique. Different hubs have different strengths, resources, and cultures.
They interlock precisely because they fill in each other's gaps.
Right. Just like nature celebrates the uniqueness of, say, cherry blossoms, this system honors the 8 billion unique human stories unfolding right now.
Which brings this right back to you listening. So what does this all mean for you? You don't have to wait for global governments to suddenly decide to dismantle themselves.
No, the transition starts today.
Yeah, it starts by shifting how you direct your own energy and resources. Building and supporting these local hubs, maybe that is participating in a decentralized digital community.
Or even just keeping your grocery money within a local agricultural network instead of funneling it to a massive multinational corporation.
Exactly. Because every time you localize your resources, you are effectively strengthening a diamond in your own constellation.
You're proving that everyday people can actually manage complex systems like energy and education through mutual aid.
Instead of extraction. You stop acting like an isolated consumer and start acting like a vital piece of the flock, which leaves us with this final thought for today's deep dive.
I think I know where you're going with this.
If humanity successfully shifts into this synchronized, self-sustaining constellation model, what happens to those massive, centralized institutions that rely entirely on our isolation and scarcity to survive?